Boba Fett is now streaming on Disney+, so here are my general overall thoughts on the first 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, as the official title says. As we all know, Boba Fett is the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy, or so we heard in the original trilogy. Hopefully I said his name correctly. Tamara Morrison, who played Jango Fett in the prequel trilogy, returns to the role from the 2nd season of The Mandalorian, given that he's a clone of Jango Fett. As far as we know, the show is basically a reformation of the Boba Fett character, showing us how he managed to escape from the Sarlacc pit after Return of the Jedi, and in the current storyline, showing his established rule over the area of Tatooine in the power vacuum that was left open by Jabba the Hutt. For years there was talk about a solo Boba Fett movie, but it never quite got off the ground. Apparently at one point Joe Johnston, who made The Rocketeer and the first Captain America, as well as the Jumanji film with Robin Williams back in the day, he wanted to do a Boba Fett project, but George Lucas said no. Now here we are in the current age of streaming. Boba Fett is now a show. At the end of Mandalorian Season 2, when he killed Bib Fortuna and sat on Jabba's throne, immediately I realized they were setting up a solo show with Boba Fett. And to be honest with you guys, I think that this is probably a better way to tell a story regarding Boba Fett. I don't really think he needs a solo story of some kind, but if they could get the right people behind it, I'm all for it. I said it before, and I'll continue to say it again. I'm always down for seeing whatever Star Wars project comes in. Movie, show, video game, I don't care. Star Wars guy, go for it. As far as the scope, tone, and feel of the show, it's very similar to The Mandalorian. Although not quite as engaging as that show, it's still very intriguing so far. We see both the past and the present storylines working in conjunction with each other, and I'm assuming that it's all going to conclude somehow in the show's Season 1 finale. Reminds me of Batman Begins, where you have the past and present working in conjunction with each other, which allows us to understand why Bruce Wayne becomes Batman. We see Boba Fett crawling his way out of the Sarlacc pit, given that it takes over 1,000 years of slow indigestion of some kind. It's like I thought, let's pass on that, huh? He uses his flamethrower to blow his way out of the Sarlacc pit and crawls out of the sand a few hundred yards away. We see a stormtrooper hanging around in there too. Just the eeriness of that moment. I'm glad we got to see a glimpse at least of what it's actually like to be digested, if not right away, so to speak. And now whenever C-3PO describes that, I'm never going to be able to unsee that. Ugh. But Jawa's take his armor, and he's taken prisoner by some Tusken Raider tribe, and him bonding with the Sand People is really a genius move on the creator's part to show that these Tusken Raiders are not the boogeymen that we assumed that they were, similar to Dances with Wolves when Kevin Costner's character John Dunbar bonds with the Lakota tribe in the area. He learns how to fight with a stick, showing us how he was able to use that against the stormtroopers in Season 2 of Mandalorian, and in return, he teaches them how to ride a speeder so that way they can attack a spice train that's ambushing them every so often. Oh, by the way, the fact that they took Boba Fett's armor, that explains why Cobb Vanth was able to get his hands on it in Season 2 of Mandalorian. The spice train is something that Jabba the Hutt would never allow if he was alive. But instead of killing them, Boba Fett decides to let them go and let the people in the area know that Boba Fett's the one in charge now. The potential of Boba Fett finding some kind of reformation after he was nearly killed, I kind of like that idea, even though I do wish that we would get some flashbacks of what exactly he did during his days of hunting bounties and all that. Maybe we will get that in this season, or maybe in a future season, who knows? Hopefully, if they haven't forgotten by then. Some people might say that's been done before and we need to see something different and somebody more vicious. We already saw a little bits of that in Season 2 of Mandalorian, so if anything, I think that was, let's just say less is more. We'll just put it that way. Whilst in the present storyline, Boba's taken over Jabba's throne. A lot of people are sucking up to him and others just aren't, including this one guy who tries to bring these set of greetings from this mayor that he serves or whatever. I'm not too up to date on the species or the clans and tribes of Tatooine, so please don't kill me for that. But when he goes to talk to this guy, things get a little tense when the street gang ambushes him in the streets of Mos Espa, Anakin Skywalker's hometown. And also, Jennifer Beals from Flashdance makes an appearance as this character. No clue that was her until I watched the Screen Crush video about Episode 2. And to be honest, that I thought was kind of a cool cameo. And we even get to see more of the Hutts, these two twins that are now trying to vie for the position of power that's now left open in the wake of Jabba's death. What I really like that these shows are doing, Mandalorian and this show in particular, is that they're showing how the power vacuum is just wide open now that the Empire's gone and and Jabba the Hutt's gone. There's room for anybody who's willing to grab any kind of seat of power, because eventually the cycle has to repeat itself. The Empire's obviously going to grow back in the course of the next 30 or so years. Tatooine, it's a lot more centralized, since we're starting to see all these gangsters and spice runners trying to take over Tatooine. This is one of the things I think Star Wars does really well at. The world building, showing all these different creatures and clans, these different types of people and species that are coming in and out. It's a continuing expansion on that cantina scene that we saw in A New Hope, very similar to an old Western flick. Jon Favreau has said publicly that that's what he really wanted to expand on ever since he saw the original back in the day. And all the creature designs, they look so realistic, and I don't know if this is all practical or CG or a little bit of both, but I can't really tell if it's CGI or not. Maybe it is CGI and I'm just not really noticing, but in my eyes, it looks pretty darn solid. And this scary looking bounty hunter Wookiee, I want to see more of that guy. I want to see what his deal is. And apparently he's an established character in the expanded universe lore, the one that's now considered new canon by Disney and Lucasfilm. Similar to Boba Fett in the original trilogy, but hopefully he doesn't get Boba Fetted this time around. Hopefully we get to see him do something legit. I think he and Boba Fett might have faced off against each other in a comic or something or other. At least that's what I heard from Screen Crush. But there's a lot of cool ideas and concepts that the show is setting up, and hopefully they don't just throw them by the wayside for the sake of something lackluster. But so far, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Book of Boba Fett. I think there's some good potential with the show about this character, as long as they continue to tell a well-realized story and find the right ways to throw fan service in there. I'm not going to complain about it. I didn't have a problem with it in the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, as opposed to some people. And if this show's going to go more or less the same route, where they sprinkle the fan service in and out of there, that's enough for me. But knowing how the Star Wars fandom is, they're going to cry and whine no matter what. I'm sorry if that sets off another hornet's nest. I'm trying really hard not to do that again, because I know how passionate Star Wars fans are. I'm passionate too, but I try not to fall down that same trope, if you know what I mean. And there's rumors going around that Harrison Ford's supposedly coming back as Han Solo, similar to Mark Hamill as Luke in Season 2 of Mandalorian. I don't know if I need to see that. I was okay with Luke coming back in the previous show, but if this is Han Solo and them trying to rectify common criticism from Return of the Jedi, I just hope that they do it right in execution. That's all. But either way, I'm really curious to see where the show goes, and we'll tune in for more episodes. I might do a video on 2 episodes at a time instead of 1. That way, I have a little more to talk about and how they feed into each other and whatnot, because I feel like 1 episode at a time is kind of short and doesn't really leave me a whole lot of room to say certain things. And if you guys prefer it that way, just feel free to let me know in the comments. Thanks again, guys, for watching. What are your thoughts on the show so far? Just comment below and tell me your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one.